question.
Otherwise, you know, you can just
Also
put it on,
if I
take
should
it off.
put a second chair
Yeah, you
next
can.
to me so I don't have to put everything on the floor. Because I'm going to be working off my laptop, so. Or, you know what?
No, yeah, that's all right.
Just so I'm not like putting stuff on the floor. Like this, and then when I sit down, I kick it over.
Yeah. They're the worst ones.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Great.
Thanks so much.
That's all right.
Appreciate it. Angela, hi, I'm Adam. Good to see you. Yeah.
There. Okay. Great. So the lapel mic is here for you to grab when you're ready, and then just take it off mute.
Okay.
Cool.
And if I start the story and I forget to take it off mute, will you wave madly?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. That's
I
fine.
won't mind you like speaking up and
No,
yeah.
that's okay. And if you need help, I can run over. That's
Okay.
absolutely fine. Yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah, no, it's usually me forgetting that's the thing I do. Okay. And it's a zipper head, so it changes one word. If you just zip in a word, pull out a word. I just learned that this week. Yeah. So it's easy to learn. I'll either just to let people know what to expect, and then you do it in our order. Okay, cool. Thanks.
Sorry about that.
No, that's okay.
That's it.
It's impressive when somebody kind of pulls it out like that.
Good morning and welcome to Roslyn Hill Chapel, a spiritual home for open minds. I'm Andrew Appleyard, a chapel member and worship assistant for this Unitarian service. Whoever you are and however you are this morning, there is a place for you here in our spiritual community. Today we welcome our guest preacher, Adam Slate. Adam holds spiritual dual citizenship in the Unitarian and Unitarian Universalist traditions. He is a member of New Unity, London, and the Unitarian Universalist congregation of Charlottesville, Virginia. He is pursuing a Master of Divinity degree at Phillips Theological Seminary. Adam is committed to building connections within and between congregations, to racial equity and justice work, and to sharing Unitarian values with a world that desperately needs them. Our children's chapel program will be led by Maya. Babies under 2 are welcome in the creche, but need to be accompanied by an adult. As you can see, we have laid out seats in rows, but ask you to keep an empty seat between you where possible. We request that you continue to use the hand sanitizer and to wear masks wherever possible, especially when singing and moving around the building. This evening we have a 30 minutes of mindfulness at 6 p.m. and a regular labyrinth walking mediation at 7 p.m. Please register online for this as the numbers are limited. You can find more details of these and all our chapel events on the websites, where you can download our Open Mind newsletter. If you don't have online access, copies of the newsletter are available from the back from Roger the steward. Do join us after the service for refreshments at the back of the chapel today. If you're watching at home, you can join us for tea and conversation in the virtual side aisle via Zoom. Just click the connect link on your YouTube description to find it. We are an independent registered charity and we rely on your contributions to continue our work. Our current practice is to contribute to the collection at the end of the service. You will be able to donate using contactless payment as well as cash. Just find the steward's table at the back of the chapel. And thank you for the many ways you contribute to our spiritual community.
Good morning. I was looking forward to taking that off so my glasses wouldn't fog up. Before we do our chalice lighting, I want to thank you all for inviting me here this morning. And I want to welcome, as Andrew did, both those of you who are here and those of you who are watching online. I also want to thank some of the people who helped pull the service together who aren't as visible as I will be. Andrew, worship assistant, John, who's our musician, Ava, who's capably managing tech, and Angela, who put together the order of service. And now, Andrew, if you would please light the chalice while I read the words of the chalice lighting. We light this chalice to call us together as a community in love and faith. Let this flame serve as a reminder of the warmth, power, and beauty that we can create together. And we'll start with some singing. We'll be singing Enter, Rejoice, and Come In. It's from the Sing Your Faith hymnal, but we have a treat this morning. All of the words for all of the hymns are in your order of service. And John will play it through once, and then please rise and sing. And now, as is the practice here at Rosalind Hill Chapel, I invite you to turn to someone near you, introduce yourself by saying your name, and welcome each other to the chapel this morning. Okay. And now we have our time for all ages, and it looks like we maybe have one youngster here. Do you want to come up for the story? Come on up. And I'm going to put this on. You can sit right in front of that chair. Oh, I think I have to sit on the chair. I think I have to sit on the chair because the camera needs to be able to see me telling the story. But you know what? Do you want a chair? Can you all hear me? Is this okay? All right. I hope you like this story. Once, there was a family. And this family lived right here in London. I'll tell you the names of everyone in the family, okay? Oh, did I tell you this was a family of tigers? No. You have tigers here in London, right? Well, I heard they were tigers. So, in this family, first, there was Lester. And Lester was old. Lester was a tired old tiger who liked to lie around and rest and sleep. Lester moved slowly. Do you want to know what Lester did for exercise? Nothing. Then there was Keisha. And Keisha, wait, did I tell you about Lester yet? I did. Okay, good. Keisha liked to work in the garden. You know the kind of tiger that likes to work in gardens, right? They only have that kind here in London. They don't have them anywhere else. So Keisha liked to work in the garden. And finally there was Archie. And Archie had a lot of energy. A lot. Archie was always bouncing around, talking and bothering Lester and Keisha, and asking them question after question after question. What are you doing? Why? Can I help? Why not? How long is that going to take? Why? So, Lester, Keisha, and Archie were home one day doing what they usually did. Lester sitting around like a tired old tiger, Keisha working in the garden, and Archie running back and forth between them, talking and asking questions and generally bothering both of them, as was Archie's job. Don't you want to know who was knocking at the door? I did mention that someone was knocking at the door, didn't I? No? Well, someone was knocking at the door, and it was a lemon. No, wait, it was a tiger named Lemon. Yeah, that's right, a tiger named Lemon. Or maybe a lemon named Tiger. No, a tiger named Lemon. That makes more sense. So anyway, Keisha opened the door and said, well, I can't remember what Keisha said, but Lemon bolted into the house and announced that they had decided to live there. Lemon was playful. Lemon ran right up to Lester and started to swat at Lester's tail. Lester was not happy about this, but Lemon just kept right on swatting. Then Lemon ran into Keisha's garden and kicked dirt everywhere. Keisha said to stop, but Lemon kept right on kicking. Then Lemon ran up to Archie and took a big, playful bite of Archie's foot. Did I tell you what Archie said when Lemon bit Archie's foot? Did I tell you? No. Archie said, "Ouch!" Of course that's what Archie said. This went on for days. Lemon swatting Lester's tail, Lemon kicking dirt in Keisha's garden, Lemon biting Archie's foot. One day Lester sat Lemon down. Lester was old. I told you Lester was old, right? So Lester was probably wise. And Lester said, "Lemon, you have got to stop swatting my tail. That's not what we do here." Now, I don't know if Lester was wise, but Lemon thought Lester was wise. Lemon listened very intently to the lesson, but at some point noticed Lester's tail. Swish, swish, the tail swished, and Lemon pounced on it and swatted at it. The next time Lemon was out in the garden, Keisha sat Lemon down and said, "Lemon, stop kicking dirt around. It's not helpful." Lemon concentrated on what Keisha was saying, but kept seeing those big piles of dirt, perfect for kicking, which is just what Lemon did. That afternoon, Lemon was sitting around the house, biting Archie's foot. Archie said, "Lemon, quit biting my foot. I'm the one that's supposed to do the bothering around here, and also, ouch!" Lemon listened. Lemon really tried to pay attention, but Archie's toes just kept moving up and down, up and down. And well, you know what happened, right? Finally, Lester, Keisha, and Archie got together to discuss it. "Maybe we should ask Lemon to leave," Lester suggested. 4 tigers in one house is probably too many. "Let's all bite Lemon's feet," shouted Archie. "It's not fair. I'm supposed to be the one who annoys everyone." "Well, maybe," suggested Keisha, "maybe instead of us telling Lemon what to do all the time, we should be willing to do more of what Lemon wants to do." And that's just what they did. So if you go visit them at their tiger house, right here in London, don't be surprised to see Lester sleeping on the couch or bed, but dangling just enough tail over the edge for Lemon to swat at. And don't be surprised to see Keisha working in the garden, digging holes, dropping seeds in, with Lemon following behind, kicking dirt into the holes to cover them up. And Archie? Well, Archie continued to run around the house annoying Lester and Keisha. But while Archie was pestering them with question after question after question after question, Lemon was biting their feet. And that's where our story ends, until the next tiger moves in. Do you like that? All right. And now I think it's time to head on to your class, right? So we're going to sing you out by singing "Go Now in Peace." Do you know where to go? Yeah, that's right. Okay. It was nice to meet Children's Chapel. It was nice to meet you. And now I invite you into a time of prayer and meditation. We come together in fellowship each Sunday with hearts full of joy and full of concern. If you're holding someone in your heart this morning, I invite you to say their name aloud now in this moment of stillness, so that we may also hold them in our prayers. Dad and Joanne. Spirit of life and love, God of our hearts, we give thanks for those who bring us joy and pray for the safekeeping of those whom we hold in concern. For all those names, spoken and unspoken, may they be surrounded by the loving kindness we offer them today. Blessed be. Amen. I understand that our next hymn is one that you don't typically sing here, but it is a good one, and it's easy to learn. There's a new term that I learned this week called a zipper hymn, and it's the kind of hymn where only one word changes in each verse, so you zip a word in and zip a word out. It's called There's More Love Somewhere, and John will play it through once before we sing it, but it's very simple. The verse basically goes, there's more love somewhere, there's more love somewhere, I'm going to keep on till I find it, there's more love somewhere. And I think you'll pick up the melody pretty easily.
What does it mean to widen the circle? By Teresa Honey Youngblood. I've been learning a lot about the concept of in-groups lately from the field of psychology. In-groups are groups where we feel belonging because we share something important to us in common with all other members of the group. You're likely to have several in-groups. Maybe you are dedicated to a sports team and follow and participate in fan groups in person or online. Maybe you spend time with a naturalist group doing trail and habitat restoration. Perhaps you ride with other cyclists and together advocate for better bike awareness and infrastructure in your region. On your social justice team in your church or covenanted community, you may be leading your family of faith towards more just and effective action. All these in-groups and others like them give us a sense of belonging as well as being among our people, which feels good and at its best amplifies our efforts to make the world better. And it can sometimes be really difficult to belong to and enjoy an in-group while also widening the circle for others, not only to join us, but to change us with their unique divine spark. That is one very tricky needle to thread. How do you identify and nurture the core of who you are as a group, while also cultivating curiosity and openness that allows the group to grow and evolve, all the while fostering a sense of trust and belonging among long-timers and incomers alike? This is the loving edge of the circle we are called to.
Thank you, Andrew. Please join me in a time of prayer, followed by a minute of quiet reflection and meditation. Spirit of life, Spirit of love, God known by many names, we are grateful for this miraculous day we have been given, for the world around us and all the potential it holds, and for this time to be together in community. There is so much to be grateful for, and at the same time, may we remain aware that there is also suffering around us, that we each may be harboring personal pain, that there are people around the world displaced from homes and separated from family, that we are governed by leaders who may be tempted to make poor decisions, that the threat of war and international conflict loom right now in places like the Ukraine. May we both find peace and work for peace. May we be treated generously and treat the people around us with generosity. May we have wisdom, strength, and patience, and know when to exercise each. May the love we share here in this sanctuary work its way out into the world, both through the holy presence we create and through our actions. We are grateful for this day and this world. May we strive to use these gifts wisely and creatively, and may we reflect our blessings back out to the people around us. Blessed be. Amen. Now, as John plays our meditation music, you're invited to come up and light a candle and say a silent prayer. was thinking back recently to how I, in services, will make a joke or something as an excuse to take my jacket off, like the weather's too warm, or I've been to a congregation a few times and I'm getting to know the congregants there. It turns out I just don't like preaching with my jacket on, so I'm just owning that starting today. A number of years ago, I was part of the leadership of a church that was experiencing an intergenerational crisis. Most of the leaders were my age or older. They had lots of experience with how the church worked, were active, and also felt like they welcomed the participation of younger members, often for looking for ways to draw them in. The younger members wrestled with how to be involved in church life. Many of them were busy with jobs, family commitments, kids. They weren't sure how to access the meaningful volunteer roles and weren't always sure if those roles were open to them. Most people generally wanted to play some sort of role in the church, and everyone felt that they were open to working with others. And yet these problems persisted. At the time, I was friends with the president of a nearby synagogue. We spoke about the challenge of bringing younger members into congregational leadership, and he said it took years of work to change the dynamics. It left me wondering what was going on. What dynamics were at play in my congregation that I wasn't seeing? And I couldn't help thinking, if some of our mostly white, mostly middle-class members could find themselves on the outskirts of the church community, what about people of color, people from the LGBTQ community, those with limited financial means, or members with mental or physical challenges. This issue of how to make sure people are included within the circle of a community is many-layered. Those already inside the circle may not realize there's an issue. And even if we do, we may find that our efforts to be inclusive are not readily welcomed, as those efforts can trigger memories of earlier painful experiences. Or those at the margins may not understand the coded language and behaviors necessary to be accepted within a community. So this morning I want to spend some time unpacking all this. I think we need to start by asking why we should widen the circle to create a more diverse community. This is not a rhetorical question. It's a good question. Some of us have been members of our congregation for a long time. We have a preferred style of worship and routines and traditions. So truly, why start mixing things up and risk changing this church in ways we don't like? Where does that call come from? Why not just stay within our comfortable groups? Some of us may be moved by the Judeo-Christian ethic to love our neighbors, to make room for those who are other than us, to support the marginalized and the oppressed. One way we can do this is to make our church home a home for a more diverse group of people. Another reason to widen the circle is that many of our congregations formed many years ago, when it was considered appropriate for a church to be more insular and segregate people with different beliefs and identities. That's not appropriate now. That's not the Roslyn Hill Chapel I see when I go to your website, for example, where I learned very quickly that you value open minds and diverse backgrounds. Lastly, if we don't change our congregations to offer the kinds of experiences and communities that people seek today, if we keep doing what we've been doing the way we've been doing it, we simply won't thrive. We're already seeing this amongst Unitarian churches. Many of you likely already know that this is a tangible threat to our faith. So those are some reasons to make room in your community for new faces, and maybe you find those reasons compelling. If so, take a moment to think about how you picture that happening. Imagine throwing your doors open wide and new people streaming in. Close your eyes and imagine that Sunday sometime down the road, right here in this sanctuary. I wonder if you're picturing a day much like today, but with more people filling the seats, maybe from more diverse backgrounds, more younger people, more same-sex couples. Perhaps the biggest challenge that people have when thinking about expanding their circle is understanding that when new people arrive, the circle doesn't just get larger. It wants to change due to those new influences. So we must learn not only to invite people into our community, but to grow and change to meet the communities we're inviting in. You may have seen in your newsletter the quote by writer, activist, and Zen priest Reverend Angel Kyoto Williams that, quote, "It's the community's job to figure out how we can stretch into the so-called margins, to broaden our understanding and the ability to be inclusive. Inclusivity is not how do we make you a part of what we are, but how do we become more of what you are?" A church impacts members of our community in so many ways, each one offering an opportunity to make new people feel welcome or not. We do it with our routines, our policies, rituals, themes, staffing, how we choose our lay leaders, how we govern ourselves, how we recruit volunteers, how we think and talk about our history, how we arrange our furniture. Everything we do can make our communities seem more open or more exclusive, can make us seem more inviting or more like insiders. At times, we can seem exclusive or uninviting without even realizing it, even with really good intentions. I want to give a few examples of this because it can be really subtle. Perhaps someone is reading notices during the service and mentions an event that requires us to sign up. The notice says to email Kate. Now, most of us know that Kate is the minister, but if I'm new and don't know Kate, or don't know her email address to send her a message, I may not feel welcome to sign up for the event. I may even end up feeling like an outsider. One more. There's a reading by James Vila Blake that I think you sometimes use here. It goes, "Love is the spirit of this church and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another." I've always liked this reading, particularly its reference to covenant. Recently, my friend Roddy, a Unitarian Universalist ministerial colleague who identifies as a queer person of color and gave the okay to use their name, expressed to me that they don't like the reading because it offered a picture of Unitarian Universalism that hasn't been enjoyed by UUs with marginalized identities, and the vision has not yet been realized. Everything we do has the potential to reach outward or to put up barriers. And one of our jobs, if we believe we're called to be inviting, is to pay attention and learn to be attuned to those times when we might inadvertently send the wrong message. Some obstacles to widening our communities to new people can be hard to accept. For example, we pick a church because there are things we love about it, and we don't want anyone to mess with those things. I like organ music and don't want a choir. I love a choir and don't want a contemporary acoustic band. I want to hear prayers during the service. I don't want any mention of God in the service. I want a service that will pull me out of my comfort zone every week. I want a service that will comfort me every week. And in these situations, it's so tempting to use our power to influence the way these choices get worked out. To want our long tenure or generous pledging or status as an elder or elected leader to give us extra influence around these decisions. And yet, it can be so powerful to come to a place where we're willing to let go of that to help someone else feel more included. I want to finish by talking about stories. Because stories are one way that a congregation establishes its character, and it's a place where privilege can hide. Think of the example I gave a few minutes ago about the James Vila Blake reading. The story in many churches is that this is a beloved reading in the Unitarian and Unitarian Universalist traditions. That is a true story. It accurately reflects how the reading is perceived by some people. But it's only one story. There's another story, that this reading paints too much of a feel-good picture. That might be a true story for a Unitarian of African or Caribbean descent, or a trans-Unitarian. That's a story that gives voice to people's pain, pain that cannot be healed if these stories are not voiced. There's a saying I've heard that until the lion gets to tell its story, the hunter will always be the hero. Until the lion gets to tell its story, the hunter will always be the hero. So what are your stories here at Roslyn Hill Chapel? When you think of the things you know about this place through stories, who do you picture telling them? Are they always the same group of people, or do these stories come from a wide range of places within your congregation? Who are the acknowledged wisdom bearers? What stories may have gone unnoticed? Most importantly, what might you do? How might you find new ways to listen, to recover those stories that go silent? One of the ways we say that everyone is valued here, regardless of what they believe, that Black lives matter, that LGBTQ lives matter, and that those among us living with mental illness matter is to make space for people to tell their stories so that we might honor them appropriately. Oh my goodness. What a challenge we have before us to live faithfully with each other. I've tried to illustrate that widening the circle is fraught with risk and chances for us to fall down at every turn. You've likely heard implied in my message that we get it wrong all the time. Ouch. But I forgot to mention a few things. I forgot to mention that we're human and we're Unitarians, and that gives us some powerful resources. We have an infinite capacity, if we choose it, for love and empathy and a strong sense of justice. We know what's right. Even when we're failing or thinking mostly of ourselves or not quite sure what to do, we usually know what's right. And finally, yes, we fall down all the time, but we also get back up again all the time. This process of widening the circle is and will continue to be a constant struggle. And we Unitarians need to be engaged in that struggle. May all of us have the strength, wisdom, and compassion to stay in it, to share power, to hear each other's stories, and to be generous with each other. May it be so, and amen. And now, we'll sing our closing hymn. It's One More Step, and John will play it through once. After the closing hymn, please remain standing for the benediction. And now, go out into the world in peace. Have courage. Hold on to what is good. Return to no person evil for evil. Strengthen the faint-hearted. Support the weak. Help the suffering. And honor all creation. May it be so.
Adam, thank you very much for leading the service. Some very insightful views there, which much appreciated, and thank you for your time as well. Thank you, John. Thank you for all of you for attending in person and also online. Please join us for coffee and refreshments at the back of the room. And for those who are watching online, please join in the virtual side aisle. Thank you very much and have a good rest of the day.
Anything seem like it went okay?
Yeah, it's spot on
Good, good.
in terms of it's where we are, I think.
It's funny, I almost used as an example of kind of how you can have like insider things. Just putting this putting the service together. I've put together orders of service that look just like that. I've led many services. You know, I think out of 15 elements, I had at least 10 or 11 questions about like, how does this work? How does this?
Yeah, I'm sure you did.
So I'm glad it came together well.
No, it came really good. It was, and the homily was excellent.
Oh, good,
It was spot on, I think,
good.
in terms of
Well, I was hoping.
widening the circle.
Yeah, it's a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing to do for any congregation. And you got to keep hearing it. People have to keep bringing it up.